Hello there. I was recently arrested for reporting a crime. Not just one crime, but lots and lots of crimes. And not just a minor crime, but very, very serious crimes. And this is in connection with this infamous charity scam, which is a growing scandal at the moment on every level. Quite simply, I was put on a quest for cures by the illness itself. I developed sinus cancer in 1995. Um, Developed a tumour in my left sinus cavity, which exacted pressure on my head like so, eventually after 15 years resulting in this mild distortion to my face, which I hope you can appreciate, sent me on a quest for the cures. I literally had no alternative but to look for cures for sinus cancer, or suffer the consequences, which is losing an eye and half of your face. It's literally that, find a cure or lose half your face. And I therefore was, yes, sent on a quest for the cures. And it's rather disturbing to bear in mind that if we look at this in context with of my life on a timeline here, this is 1995 when I first developed all the symptoms of sinus cancer, and you can see what a drawn-out, protracted affair this was, going on for the best part of 25 years, a quarter of a century to the present day, literally putting me on a quest for the cures that lasted 25 years. And of course, during that time, I fell victim to all kinds of physical assaults and violence from just, random opportunists and bullies and thugs who just took great pleasure in using the condition I was suffering from, just simply to physically assault me, humiliate me, and on many occasions actually try and prosecute me for their own offences. Now this is, if we have a little look here at the list, and these people deserve naming and shaming, quite literally. This is the list of people here. This is my father, who used the tumour in my sinus cavity in 1995 quite simply to manipulate, intimidate, torture me with a view to presumably mutilating me, and causing as much misery as possible. Now, he was reported to Avon and Somerset Police. This is for bragging and boasting about using cancerous tumours to mutilate people and even murder them. That was in July 2019. Then we have Anita Fairbairn, who fairly apparently drove her father to take his own life when she was just 14. And there's a number of other outstanding issues concerning her mental health that have not been addressed. This is an old partner of hers, Dan Marshall, launched a murder attempt on me. That's in 2003 using a brick. Then went rushing to the police station to falsify police statements, commit perjury, or encourage Anita to commit perjury on his behalf in order to cover up his embarrassing outburst of violence and murder. Then there was Asher Osmondson, some 9-10 years later, who launched another brutal murder attempt against me. So that's sort of pretty much 4 murderers, in the first 4 mentions on the list here. Then we have a couple of people running around, just doing legwork for these murderers, literally, just doing routine terrorism in order to cover up, what they're doing and make it look more respectable. And right at the bottom here, Veronica and Carlos Hernandez, who launched a number of physical assaults against me, and then falsified police statements and convinced a judge to prosecute me for their own offences, which was just ridiculous, and shows that this is obviously a microcosm of what's happening, a tip of the iceberg, in relation to what's happening to cancer patients across the UK, and only leaves us to wonder, at the frequency of these attacks, and how many result in actual murders, and how they're covering up these murders. Do they say that the patient just fell down the stairs? It seems highly likely that they do. And what we see here is basically, the fact that police visited my address, forced their way past me into my flat, and arrested me for collecting evidence, on so much criminality, committed against me over such a long period of time. Over the period between 2003 to the present day, the best part of 17 years of constant terrorism and violent assaults, only to be told that that constitutes a crime, sends alarm bells ringing, in every single um, room of the house. It's astonishing, that somebody who's put themselves in so much danger, not even deliberately, literally just been forced by the cancer itself to go on a quest for the cures, only to be subjected to so much violence and then arrested at the end of it, quite simply because you're exposing the whole thing for being a scam, and exposing all the people that run this scam for the awful evil deeds that they do. And this then, asks us to take a closer look at the law here, because what on earth is going on? Reporting a crime, it should be very straightforward, shouldn't it? I mean, the first rung of the ladder on law enforcement, reporting a crime, what could be more simple? Well, if we have a look at the first paragraph, you'll find that it's actually not as straightforward as you might think. If you witness a crime, you have a vital role to play in bringing the criminals to justice, right? Okay, that's clear. You may well be feeling upset and have doubts about reporting what you have seen. Well, holy shit, man. I mean, if we're talking about this kind of crime, if we're talking about this sort of thing, then of course you're going to have doubts. Of course you're going to be feeling upset about, what you've seen. And then it goes on to say there is no legal obligation to contact the police. Right, so, even if we've witnessed serial murders and awful torture, hostage taking, there's still no obligation to contact the police. I mean, this already in the first two lines shows, to me at least fairly clearly, that the person who's written this, is a criminal. Quite simply, they don't want the attention of the police. They're conducting some very high-level white-collar crime, and in certain instances they don't want the attention of the police. Right, and that's fairly clear from the way they've written it. Yet they go on to say that reporting crime to the police could prevent further crimes being committed and protect others from becoming victims. Well then, if that's the case, why don't you have a legal obligation to contact the police in situations of very serious crime? Because, maybe if that was clearer in the law, then there wouldn't be any confusion when it came to, instances such as this one, where people are literally being, mutilated, and people being, beaten like this, literally within an inch of their life, like I was, simply for looking for cures, and unearthing sensible treatments and more effective solutions than perhaps, conventional medicine can supply. So, as I say, this is just a microcosm of what's happening right across the country, and should leave us asking, what on earth, is the motive behind this? Because, I mean, there is a very clear motive to this, of course, isn't there? To be conducting so many physical assaults and murder attempts and have this constant wall of violence erected, obviously, serves to just suppress cures. That's what it's all about, just suppressing cures. But, I mean, the violence is bad enough. Routine physical assaults upon, vulnerable patients like this is bloody terrible. It's disgusting, spineless, cowardly. But when we consider, like taking somebody like this and then, literally beating them into a state like this, while they've got cancer, I mean, that's just sick. It's the most cowardly form of murder on planet Earth, And what is the purpose of all this violence? What is, the priority? Well, the priority is very simple, of course, to cause the maximum damage, to make sinus cancer as dangerous as possible. Because the more people you can murder who have solutions to the illness, well, the more dangerous you can make the illness. And the more dangerous they can make it, the more money they can make, which is the whole point, in order to use the mutilated victims to collect ever-increasing amounts of money. To look for cures. What do they do with this money? They're making $70 billion a year. And what do they use the money for? Beating people to death, routine violence. not just violence but extreme